Hello, everyone. My name is Gopi Ramanathan. I am the Bridge Program Coordinator for Engineers in Action. And today I am here with some of our Bridge Corps mentors who are involved with the EIA Bridge Program to talk a little bit about the Bridge Corps program as a whole. On this call, we'll be speaking a little bit about the varied experiences of our Bridge Corps mentors. Then we will go into a little bit about why each of our Bridge Corps mentors got involved with the EIA Bridge Program, before leading into a discussion about expectations in general regarding Bridge Corps, best ways to get in contact with Bridge Corps mentors, expectations for meetings, communications, those sorts of items as the project progresses. And then we will close out with a question about further engagement, especially if some of you want to get involved with these companies through the EIA Bridge Program, whether that be taking on an internship or other types of experiences. So with that, I will hand it off to our Bridge Corps mentors. If each of you could please give your name, who you work for, and your experience within the Bridge Program.
Thanks, Gopi. My name is Harry McElroy. I work with McNary Bergeron and Johannesson, and I've been working on bridges since college. I originally got involved with EIA as a student, and then as a professional, I turned around to become a mentor.
Thanks, Gopi. Greg Zeiss with HDR. I have about 33 years of experience. Started off the Caltrans Structures Bridge Department. I managed Northeastern California for all their bridge and heavy highway construction. I became involved with EIA actually through Bridges to Prosperity, where HDR had a company team build in Panama, and I've done 3 bridges that are either EIA or B2P.
Hi, my name is Sanjeev. I work for Stantec as a structural engineer out of their Connecticut office. I've had 2 years of experience as a geostructural engineer and then 3 years as a bridge engineer. I got involved with the EIA last year. It was my first bridge with the NDC team, and I got to travel with them and spend a few weeks on site as well.
Awesome, thank you. Hey everybody, I'm Sohan Monet. I'm based out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I'm a structural engineer at AECOM. And I have about 4 years of structural engineering experience, of which 2 are specific to bridges. And what really got me interested in joining the Bridge Corp was sort of EIA's mission and sort of the impact the projects have on the community. So this will be my first year as part of the Bridge Corp.
Wonderful, thank you all. And Sohan, your response to that question actually kind of leads us into our very first question on this Bridge Corps info call, which is, why are you doing this? Why are you involved with EIA, and what motivates you to volunteer your time with us and with the Bridge Program?
So the reason I'm a bridge engineer today is because of my experience with EIA as a student. I was studying civil engineering, and a buddy of mine started the CU. I went to the University of Colorado, and my buddy who started the CU chapter of EIA convinced me to go to Bolivia, and that bridge build was one of the single most impactful moments of my life. And so now that I'm in a position to be a mentor and realizing what that experience has done for me, I try to give back and give that experience to other people.
Yeah, but professionally, I've always wanted to work overseas. That never happened, and actually, I'm totally okay with that. But this is kind of the way I've got to fulfill that dream. I love traveling. I love adventure. I've traveled to about 50 countries. But more importantly, at this age of my career with 30 plus years experience, I just love sharing my knowledge and being with the other folks. And also, I love the spirit of being in a developing world where you can just make things happen. And then also rolling with the problems as they come up. Sometimes they'll be daunting, like how are we going to get through this? We will get through it. And that's part of the excitement, part of the growing experience. I will add too that I actually love the physical labor. So it's really a great experience, and it checks a lot of boxes. And of course, I got to add, I love working with the students, because at the end of the day, it's all about the students and the community, especially the community, but also the students who are there to have a cause greater than themselves and to learn.
Where do I start? I guess growing up in a developing country, like I always found the need to give back to society. And through my undergrad, I got to know of Bridges to Prosperity, and I've always wanted to get involved with them. And luckily, last year, I had the opportunity to start that journey with Engineers in Action. And just like Greg had said, you get the opportunity to give back to society as well as travel around and look at other countries. And after getting a taste of it last year, I think I'm addicted to it. So just got to keep going now.
Yeah, I would like to sort of echo what everyone said so far. I feel like EIA's mission is sort of civil engineering in its purest form. We're building infrastructure that serves a vital role to the communities that we're serving, and the impact is very palpable. And I ever since I heard about EIA and Bridges to Prosperity, I was thinking, how do I contribute and be involved in it? So I'm excited to see how I can contribute this year and look forward to working with everybody.
That's wonderful to hear. So as you all can see, our Bridge Corps mentors do have a wide variety of motivations and are all very interested in our community development model and in helping you all as students to go through the project preparation process and ultimately gain this incredible experience while you all are still college students. So now I want to direct this discussion a bit toward logistics and how the project should work, and specifically how student teams should interact with you all as Bridge Corps mentors. So my first question to you all, which I will actually open with responding to, is what is the best way to get in touch with you all as Bridge Corps mentors throughout the build season, whether that be in the spring during the project preparation and review call process, in the summer, during the actual build season while teams are on site, or in the fall in the quote unquote off season as teams kind of regather and prepare for a new build season. And if you fail to respond, how long should someone wait to contact you again? So at least on EIA's end, we kind of hold a basic expectation that most communication while you are not on site should happen on Basecamp. Your Bridge Corps mentors are on Basecamp and are engaged on Basecamp. That is our primary project management platform, and it kind of makes it easy for everyone to stay involved and stay in tune with the project in one place. Now, with that being said, our mentors are very busy people. They are working their full-time jobs on top of taking on these volunteer opportunities. So I guess I will direct this question now to them to kind of answer quickly as to how it is the best way to get in touch with you during the build season.
Well, in addition to all the Basecamp resources and means of communication, I'm pretty open with the students. If there's like a small question that can easily be answered by text, then that's the way that you can get in touch with me during the school year, because it's something that requires my attention or is something that could be answered immediately. Then a simple text is easy for me. Same goes in the field. If you're on a bridge build and you need just a quick answer on how something should be, or just a quick clarification, then the WhatsApp is the quickest and easiest way to reach me. For bigger items, or especially items that affect more than just the person asking them, I ask that you put it in either email or the more official means of communication so that it can be documented. If it's like a change to a design or something more substantial, then it needs to be through a more official means of communication. But for sideline chats, I try to be as available as possible.
Yeah, so I prefer email when we're out of the country. When we're in country, or when you're in country, WhatsApp is acceptable, either by first by WhatsApp text, and if needed by WhatsApp phone.
Yeah, I think Harry and Greg kind of the big ways teams keep in touch with the vendors. From my experience, I work in your student group and the mentors is acceptable. Between WhatsApp, Basecamp, and emails, I guess we've covered all possible uh, means of reaching mentors. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think everything was said already. I would say Basecamp probably is the first, your first best bet. Then if it's a little bit hard to get a response and it's taking a little bit while, then you can shoot us a WhatsApp message or a text just to prompt us in case it takes a while. And certainly I hopefully will endeavor to be flexible, you know, so try to work with whatever modes of communication you see as helpful and fruitful as well.
Wonderful. And one thing I will say to student teams, or for anyone who may be watching this video, we do have a particular document called the Bridge Core MOU that will give a little bit more detail and give a space essentially to discuss this with your Bridge Core mentors. So as you saw here, our Bridge Core mentors are open to being contacted through a variety of means, but the Bridge Core MOU will give another space for your teams and your Bridge Core mentors to work together to set out those lines of communication. So the next question regarding the project preparation process, obviously meetings are a pretty important part of the review call process and in general project preparation. So the question to our Bridge Core mentors here are, what are your expectations for meetings with students? What do you expect to see out of meetings, or what do you expect of meetings overall?
With the meetings we're talking about our review calls, I expect the students to be well prepared, having thought through some of the considerations and I guess impacts that some of their decisions might have made on other aspects of the project. For attending one of their meetings or a meeting to go over design assumptions or things you may have learned, expect them to have at least attempted the problem and come armed with questions. I guess the frustrating thing would be if I take up a request to meet and end up having to walk you through what the problem is without any attempt on your side. So being prepared and giving something a shot beforehand.
I'm going to focus on the actual construction. So in the professional industry, once you folks graduate and become professional engineers, there's quality control and quality assurance. Quality control means you are the person doing the work and you are responsible for controlling the quality of the work. Where quality assurance is somebody who does kind of like the 10% check, just to make sure that you are doing what you need to do. And so in our role on this site, you are quality control. So I expect you, for you to get the most out of this project on the field, you should have a hard copy of your project plans and you should have the bridge builder manual. You don't have to know the project plans 100%, although that's ideal, but you should know how to read the project plans so when the situation comes up, when you have to look at it, it's there. Likewise, when you are anticipating starting a certain activity the next day, you should read the bridge builder manual relative to that topic and understand what you're going to do. Because it's easy just to show up and just pick up rocks and move and do things. You will not get as much out of it if you don't understand from a technical perspective of what you designed and how you're supposed to build it.
Right. Like for the meetings, it's through the process, like you meet for like different purposes. Like the initial meetings are just for like a basic understanding of what you're trying to achieve here and things like that. And as you progress, things get more technical and you're looking for more specific details in what is being presented. At the end of the day, this may seem like a student project, but the end product is a real bridge that people are using. So through them, like when you take up and set up the meetings, like we would expect you to run it like an actual project that that would be the case if you're working in the professional world. And that's you have all the mentors as your resource to kind of figure how to do that. So it works both ways, and we're always here to guide.
Yeah, for me, in terms of how meetings are structured, I think it's really important to have an agenda that's clearly laid out and have somebody who's tasked with keeping things on topic. And I know during review calls, probably that stuff is the agenda is kind of set, but on other meetings where it's sort of a general technical discussion, probably important to think about what do we need answered during that meeting and what's the action items that you need to take away from it. Just to be respective of our time as well as your own time, because I know that you have a bunch of other things to do as well. So that would be my advice at meetings, is just making sure there's also somebody keeping time and making sure things are on track.
Wonderful. Thank you all. So now, obviously, as we're kind of discussing the project preparation process, you all are probably aware that project preparation and projects in general don't always go to plan, and sometimes things that are frustrating do happen during the process. So my next question for our Bridge Core mentors are basically, what are your biggest pet peeves during the project preparation process in working with teams? What kind of frustrates you or irks you when you are working on these projects?
For me, my largest pet peeve is waiting until your back's against the wall before asking for help. It's oftentimes the students haven't seen anything like this. It's a real world project, and it's much easier to work through the problems when you talk about them earlier than later.
Yeah, tapping what Harry's saying, it's not a pet peeve, but as Bridge Core, we walk a fine line because we're not out there to direct work and tell you what to do. We're there to just keep you within the guardrails and do our own QA to make sure that the technical, very technical items are checked off. So what I would love for the students to do, just engage me for questions. I'll have something to give you as far as an answer, just based on experience. I also encourage you to have a copy of your plans and have a copy of the Bridge Builder's Manual on site. And also, when problems, you're going to get out there and you're going to have things, they're not going to go right. And the beauty and the learning experience and the fun and the memories of a project that you're going to experience is when you figure it out. And a lot of it's just going to be logistics. You know, the aggregate's not coming in. So what are you going to do about it? And you think you got to figure it out, and people still aren't going. Just use the technical, the personal resources you have. Yeah, that's it for me.
One thing for me is proper communication, not just between you and the mentors, but even amongst your team. Especially when it comes to the QA/QC process, it's always nice to engage student members. That way, like, you have a group of you that knows what's happening with the design, and it's not all on just one person. And then keep mentors also in the loop based on any key assumptions come up. That way, when we all meet for the meeting, like, we at least have an idea of what's going on as a whole.
Yeah, so I don't really know of any pet peeves specific to this project because it's my first time working on it. But I would say in general, just working with students on other projects, I guess, which are also involving design, what I noticed is that oftentimes material is sort of in everyone's minds, but it's not documented. So when we go into a meeting, having sort of things documented or exhibits or images for us to see or calcs for us to look at, those may not be fleshed out, and it's sort of a verbal discussion. So I would say that a good idea would be to allocate time for doing those things, you know, making sure that you have time to document, have time to give us something to look at before we run into something without really knowing what we're talking about. I would say that's just something I noticed, but yeah.
Wonderful. So now that we've talked a bit about the project experience overall and kind of given a few pointers on the project experience, I want to go a little bit beyond projects. If a student wants to work for your company or intern for your company, what does that process look like and how can they get involved?
So I work for a smaller company where we don't have an HR or an official application portal. But if I've worked with you on an EIA bridge build, then you're already at the top of consideration, because it means you're an extraordinary student if you're not just doing your basic curriculum, but you're going above and beyond and building a bridge in your spare time. So really just asking about what the opportunities are available. Especially this time, it seems like there's a lot of projects that are getting off. So there's actually quite a lot of work to do. So just talking about that, gauging your interest and what things you'd like to work on, that helps us determine if you're a good fit, and then we can go from there.
Gopi, thank you for the marketing opportunity. Fortunately for me, HDR, and I'm sure all these other folks on the phone here have great companies, but having been here, the most gray hairs, the longest, it's a phenomenal company. It's actually not easy to get a job. It just could be a little slow bureaucratic, so you have to have a little patience. But if we hire good people who want to do good things, and the way you get any job in this industry, don't send in blind resumes. You know somebody who knows somebody. Have that somebody get your resume to the right person. And then the other part about that is be dogged. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. If you just blindly send things out and are passive about it or give up because nobody responds, you may not get your dream job. If you're dogged, aggressive, and do what you do, and professional and respectful, and also leverage your contacts. And leveraging is not, you know, it's just using your natural connections. That's just the way the world works. And that's how you get to be where you can be your best, by pursuing the company or the project or the project that you want to be in.
So same thing goes for Stantec as well. Like we have various internship programs, and we're located across the US, across the globe actually. So, and we're always open to people working from whichever office. And through this program, I get to know students on a lot more deeper level. So it already gives you an upper hand if it's something you're interested in, to kind of talk to me or other mentors in general with their companies. Just feel free to talk about it and see what each company offers. Yeah, that's about it. And if you are ever interested in working in Connecticut, you have one contact.
Oh, cool. I would kind of springboard off of what Greg said about sort of big companies, you know. So at AECOM, it's a massive company, so I think the wheels kind of could turn a little bit slow on certain things. That being said, there are great opportunities, and there's a lot of amazing projects that are kicking off right now, and we need help. So certainly, I think probably you would start this process pretty soon. Just looking at it, the schedule. So definitely be proactive and try to send out as many feelers as you can early. And if you see something that you like at AECOM, let me know, because maybe I can point you to somebody who works in that department who you can talk to, or something like that, and start developing those connections. Because a lot of times it's not people who we work with, it's people who we know of within our companies that are in different offices that may be the right fit for you. So just let us know, and keep us posted on that process. And I also, outside of the companies that we work for, we know people in other companies as well too. So if you're looking for something elsewhere, let us know.
Wonderful. Well, with
So
that,
I'm gonna add one more thing, because I see a lot of resumes. So when I say leverage your contacts, the whole intent, it's not like, oh, this guy's a good buddy of mine who's going to get you a job. No, it's not about that. You want to get your resume in front of the right person, and to get FaceTime in front of them so they know who you are. And a lot of times as a student, what you can use, nobody's going to turn a student down for lunch. So you can almost cold call somebody, or find that right person you want to be in front of, and have what I call an informational interview, and get them. So next time they are looking to hire somebody, they're not going to just like, oh yeah, that resume, where'd that person go, Duke, or whatever. They're going to have your face memorized, right? So use your contacts to get to the right person that you need to talk to get that job.
Wonderful. Thank you all for that advice. I think a lot of people within our network, especially our EIA Bridge Program students, will definitely appreciate that advice moving forward in their careers. So with that, that concludes this Bridge Corps intro call. I do want to take the opportunity to thank Harry, Greg, Sohan, and Sanjeev for joining us on this call and chatting a bit about the Bridge Corps experience and how you all are there to help our projects and our teams through the project preparation process. If there are any questions or comments or concerns about the Bridge Corps program overall, please do feel free to reach out to me, Gopi Ramanathan. You can contact me on Basecamp. Otherwise, definitely do engage your Bridge Corps mentors throughout the project process. They are there to help you, to mentor you throughout this experience, and they are going to be your best resource in the bridge building experience. So with that, thank you all, and that's it.